And we're back with Massachusetts Senate Minority Leader Bruce Tarr. Senator, welcome back on this beautiful summer April day where there's a blizzard outside. It's 30 degrees, whatever. How are you?
I'm doing okay, Rick. Thank you. My question is, did you have any snow today in the backyard?
You know, we didn't. My grandchildren were up to North Conway for the weekend with their parents today, and they were expecting 8 to 10 inches up there. So I haven't got any reports yet. We'll find out. But, you know,
Well,
it is what it is.
I'll let you know I'm here at the State House, and we've been experiencing these wonderful blossoms, apple blossoms and cherry blossoms. And today there's a little bit of snow on all of them. So it's quite an interesting illustration of the contrast in New England weather. Let me
I
put it
know.
that way, or maybe the dichotomy in New England weather.
Well, I think it was last Saturday. It was 70 degrees. It was, and so here we are
Yeah.
with the snow. All right, Senator, let's get down to business here. I understand that you have been getting a lot of phone calls with respect to unemployment insurance, or how was that
We
working?
have, Rick, and other members of the legislature has as well. And this is really something that for many of us came as a bit of a surprise, because you may recall that just a couple of weeks ago, we all worked on a bill and passed a bill that was supposed to help with the cost of unemployment insurance for employers. And the main problem stems from the fact that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, there have been a lot of unemployment insurance claims. The system got overwhelmed.
Sure.
And right now there's a deficit in the account for unemployment insurance that's probably going to range between $3 and $5 billion before too much longer because of all the claims that are being withdrawn from the fund. Now, we passed a bill that would allow the state to borrow on behalf of individual employers so that they get the benefit of that lower interest rate to pay back into the fund. So we did that, and we thought we had largely addressed the problem. But there's a second piece, and that is the way that the system is set up. There's also a solvency assessment that every employer pays based on their number of employees to make sure that the fund can stay solvent, can stay whole. And so that second part of the assessment is what's causing the problem. And employers are getting bills that have about a 1,600% increase.
Whoa.
The amount of that solvency assessment. And so on Beacon Hill, we are all trying to find a way to avoid that large of an assessment. And one of the reasons we are, or many of the reasons we are, include the fact that through no fault of their own, employers had to close. We mandated that they not be doing business. We mandated that they had restrictions that didn't allow them to run at full capacity. So through no fault of their own, they've had very high unemployment claims. So what we're trying to say is maybe we can find some of the federal money that's coming our way that's literally going to be in the billions of dollars to be able to put into the unemployment insurance trust fund to reduce the cost that employers will have to bear. Now, the important thing is right now, if nothing else changes, employers are going to be required to pay for 100% of the consequences of what happened during the pandemic. We're going to help them by borrowing some of the money and giving them a lower interest rate for them to pay into the fund, but they're still footing 100% of the bill when the cause of the pandemic was not their fault. And so we're hoping to find a way to take some of the federal money that's coming to us, put it into the fund, and reduce this assessment, this solvency assessment that is going to wreak havoc if we don't do anything about it.
All right. So what is your advice and those who call the State House for advice, the employers who are asking, what am I supposed to do? What do you suggest that I do?
So, well, number one, it's important to be calling to let us know that this is a problem and the extent of the problem that you're having. Number two, please know that we are working on this. I co-authored a letter with my House counterpart, Minority Leader Brad Jones from North Reading, and 55 legislators signed that letter to the Speaker of the House, the Senate President, and the Governor, saying, please use some federal funds as we identify them to go into the Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund and help address this problem. And then in addition to that, we're also looking at ways that we might need legislative authorization to do this, and we're looking at a bill. So it is important to stay in touch with legislators. The bill, I believe, is going to get postponed right now, and that's important to stay in touch with us about. because you may be having trouble paying it. So please stay in touch with us about that. And we're going to continue to try to forge ahead.
And if I can't pay it, what happens? What do I do?
Well, there are penalties for not paying, and that has consequences for your interaction with the unemployment insurance system, which you need to be involved with as an employer.
Wow. Good luck with that one, man. That sounds very, very serious and very complicated.
It's a serious challenge. I'm confident we can find a way to address it. But I know right now there are lots of people that run businesses that are staying awake at night trying to think about how we're going to deal with that. And I just want everyone to know we are trying to find a way. We are aware of the problem. There is certainly almost universal sympathy for the problem with regard to legislators. And we just need to find a way to fix it.
Okay. Well, we'll stay tuned for that. Up on Cape Ann, Senator, is something called COVID Angels.
Yeah, it's interesting, Rick. We had a very brief ceremony yesterday at Gloucester City Hall. It was actually supposed to be outside on the boulevard, but we had to move it inside. And thankfully, Mayor Safathia Romeo Taken got quick permission for us to go into the Kairos Auditorium at Gloucester City Hall so we could be out of the elements. And what we're doing was recognizing a group of individuals that have come to be known as the COVID Angels. And these are folks that, without being recruited to do so, without being paid to do so, with no recognition, have been spending a great amount of their time helping people get appointments through the various websites that are used for booking appointments. And Rick, it was absolutely just heartening to see this group of people, many of whom had never met each other before and have never been in the same physical place before. So we got them together and we gave them citations. We had Senate citations. Representative Ferranti is getting House citations for them. Mayor Taken was there to offer her congratulations. And it was just a wonderful event to recognize one of the things that has become so clear during the pandemic, that the power of neighbors to help each other is nearly unlimited, if it's limited at all. And these folks just took it upon themselves. They've been staying up late at night or getting up early in the morning to be able to get onto the sites when they're most fruitful, to be able to book appointments. They've been helping people that couldn't get transportation once the appointment was booked. They have just done an amazing job. And what a wonderful thing it was to be in their company and be able to say thank you. And so far, Rick, they have helped over 2,000 people get appointments. Wow. And they're continuing to work. They initially started focused on Cape Ann. They're also now reaching out. They've been helping people on Cape Cod and the islands who had found out about them. And just a wonderful example of the kind of strength that we've seen rise to the challenge of the pandemic.
Reminds me of someone sitting in the minority chair of the Senate in Massachusetts, but I appreciate that, Senator, because you're among equals when you're in with that. That's a great story. I love that. And finally, shifting gears here, the House is pretty busy right now at the State House.
They are. Writing the budget and passing the budget is arguably the busiest time of year for legislators. And that's the time of year we're in right now. You may recall that last year we had to postpone consideration of the budget due to the pandemic, and we've talked about the reasons for that. So we're very late in getting a fiscal year 2021 budget, but we are now working on the budget for the coming year. And right now the House has until 5 p.m. on Friday to write amendments. Those amendments will all get digested and cataloged next week. And then the following week, the House will debate the budget. And again, it is a time when legislators are in session. Everybody is engaged almost around the clock. Although it's good that there are breaks taken. It used to be years and years ago where the House and the Senate would go around the clock. That doesn't happen anymore, and that's a good thing. But they'll be engaged in very intense debate and consideration. And then when May comes, the Senate will be taking up the budget. So a very, very busy time for our House colleagues. And I wish them well in this endeavor. I know they'll do well, but they've got a lot of work to do.
All right, and a final off-the-cuff question. In terms of the vaccine rollout and how we're doing in Massachusetts, at least from a layperson's point of view, it looks like we're doing pretty well.
We continue to fare very well in terms of the amount or the percentage of vaccination that is happening based on the shipments that we're getting. So we're making good progress. We're continuing to do that. Obviously, we've had a little bit of a problem with regard to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, but for the most part, the efforts across the state have continued uninterrupted, with accommodation made for not having the availability of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. It certainly is a challenge and it's an obstacle, but it's one that's being overcome, and hopefully we'll have more of that vaccine in the future after it's declared to be safe, if that happens. If it doesn't, it shouldn't be being offered, and we'll have to find another way. But again, great credit to everyone that's been involved in keeping vaccination going, even when a roadblock comes up like the Johnson & Johnson problem.